Oh boy, they did it. They unified the tag belts. I just didn't think they would, based off their track record. Wild, actually did it. Welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast, review of SmackDown and Rampage. I am Chopper Pete Tempest, and he's back, everybody. It's Tempest, back on a Saturday, as he should be. Everyone rejoice. Yay, Tempest.
Yay. I'm back, bitch. You thought you'd seen the last of me? Well, I'm back to talk about two mediocre wrestling shows.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? I'm back to talk about some mediocre wrestling. Hell yeah, dude. Oh god. Anyway, I'm already going to be a little bit loopy because one, I'm super tired, and two, I'm so hot in this room and so sweaty. Oh my god, I'm going to get loopy by the end of this episode, but that's fine. Well, let's talk about the first thing that we're going to talk about. Where have all my notes gone? All of my notes are closed.
How does this keep happening to me? My
Oh my
co-host
God,
is always
Tempest.
like, yeah, we're so prepared and we set everything up and then the show goes live and oh no, everything's wrong and I don't know where my notes are. Where is this music coming from?
Tempest, do you want to know where my notes are?
Where are your notes?
They're on the tablet in front of me. They're on the tablet that are sitting in front of my laptop. That's where they are.
It's going to be one of those podcasts.
It's going to be one of those ones. Anyway, send in your Ultrachats to WrestleTalk.com/support if you have any thoughts about this episode of SmackDown, this episode of Rampage, tag title unification, the Banks and Naomi stuff, which we'll talk about more later. Michael Cole talking about that on air. But the first thing we're going to talk about is this tag title unification match. This entire episode was being built around this tag title unification. They had loads of segments throughout the show, loads of hype packages, recaps, all that jazz to build up to this main event. And I, throughout the show, did not think this match was happening because they didn't do it last time, the tag title unification, which was going to be at WrestleMania Backlash. They canned it last minute to change it to a 6-man tag. And the reports coming out of it were that WWE had no intention of unifying the titles anytime soon. So I was like, cool. They won't be unifying them then. And then immediately after Backlash, RK-Bro were like, we're going to unify the tag titles. I was like, no, you're not. That's a lie. You're not going to do that, are you? Because you didn't do it last time. Why would you do it now? And then they said, tag title unification is going to be on SmackDown next week. I was like, well, it's definitely not happening there. There's going to be a screwy finish or the match won't happen and it will happen at Hell in a Cell if it happens at all. But smack my ass and call me Judy, they did the match on SmackDown. Crazy. I did not see this coming at all. They just did a match with a finish. Granted, the finish was screwy because Roman Reigns got involved, but it was a finish nonetheless. What did you make of this match of RK-Bro versus Usos, Tempest?
I mean, I thought it was a decent match. You know, I thought the match itself was fun enough. And that doesn't really surprise me, considering I think I have been saying for about a year straight that the only two tag teams worth anything in WWE at the moment are the Usos and RK-Bro. And here we are, and they're now feuding with each other. So that works. I like that. I like their chemistry together. These are four talented guys, obviously going to have a good match. That being said, I don't like that a unification match has a screwy finish.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I get that this is something that will then build to more things, and then you'll get some sort of clean finish at some point, I'm sure. But I don't feel like, because I would imagine that we are not going to have these titles split again. I could be wrong, but I would be very surprised if I saw the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championships split apart from each other. The WWE and Universal titles, I think they could go their separate ways and be two separate belts again. At any time, I think they could do that. But they just don't have enough tag teams to really justify having two sets of belts. That goes for the women's division too. Well, that's neither here nor there. So, to me, this should kind of be a more monumental match. And just to have it be like, oh, ref's distracted. Oh, there's Roman Reigns. Oh, the match is over. That's kind of lame. I would have just preferred, like, like this match started and there was like 25 minutes left in the show. I was like, they're just going to have an all-time classic SmackDown main event and they're going to have a tag title change and it's going to be fantastic. And we got about like 50% of that, you know, like not one or the other, but like half of both of those things.
Yes.
You know, instead of getting like a really great match with a lousy finish, it was just kind of like, yeah, it was good. And then we didn't have a monumental finish. Yeah. So yeah. I still think it was a net positive on the show because there wasn't a whole lot else happening, but I don't know. I feel like the unification of two of your long running titles should probably be something that'll be like on a pay-per-view or built up to at SummerSlam and whatever. I'm not saying that they should build up RK Bro and Usos for another like 2 months because I don't have the patience for that sort of thing. But I would think that a moment like this would be treated with a little bit more reverence. But
yeah, I mean, they tried their best on this show to make it feel big. Like they were using a lot of the big buzzwords that they normally do surrounding, you know, stuff that they think is important.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they had the right build for it for WrestleMania Backlash. That felt monumental. That felt, you know, important. That was probably going to be the biggest show on Backlash till it got changed to the 6-man tag. But then they just decided not to do it there. So my overall feeling coming out of this was like, okay, cool. Why didn't that happen at Backlash? Like that's my confusion over this, because like you said, the match was good. Like the Usos win. Okay, cool. More stuff for the Bloodline. That's fine. But like, it feels like there's something missing. Like there was something that was needed to make this more important than it felt. Like you said, it was good, but it wasn't great. And the tag title unification should really be great, you'd think.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, the AdNap too appropriately points out that Austin versus Jericho for the Undisputed title had a screwy finish. That was also bad. I'm not going to take good. No, I'm not going to take pointers from WWE in 2001. I'm going to say that. But yeah, like with hindsight now, I guess they wanted to just have content for the month of May on SmackDown. But why could they not have just put all the titles on the line at Backlash and had the Bloodline win? You would have come out with the same thing. You just wouldn't have falsely advertised your pay-per-view, you know? It would have made that match feel a lot more important than it's just a fun trios match in the main event of a pay-per-view. Like, I don't know. I feel like portions of that match and portions of this match should have like been merged or swapped or something. Because like there's your monumental match. You just put the titles on the line there and make that feel more main event, more monumental. And then you have this SmackDown main event where you can do a screwy finish. And you don't need to waste a title unification on a screwy finish. I don't know.
Yeah. And I understand the point that like J4 said in the chat that the match would have been very predictable if all the titles were on the line. Predictable to me doesn't necessarily mean bad. Because you can have a predictable outcome and still have a really great match out of it. Because there would have at least been the question of, but what if Drew McIntyre won? You know, would they switch all the belts here? Would, like, you know, Drew pin one of the Usos and Roman still hasn't lost, but he loses his belt? Like, how would that play in that dynamic of Roman and Jay? Like, I don't think it would have happened, and I don't think many of us would have thought it would have happened, but there would have been just that little bit at the back of your head to be like, but what if? You know? Whereas something like this, there's not as many stakes because Roman's not involved, right? It's a tag title unification, but it doesn't feel as important because it's not on pay-per-view and Roman's not involved. It's just everything feels significantly less important this way, which is kind of how WWE sees their tag division as a whole. But, you know, the one positive I will say coming out of this, that's a bit harsh. There are many positives coming out of this. One of them, I think, is that RK Bro would now not feel out of place to challenge Roman for the belt, either of them, which I think is great. That is one, what a build for Riddle to go from, you know, goofball man who's around the US title scene to suddenly not be out of place to challenge Roman for the top belt. That's good. That's pretty good stuff. Goofball
that's
man.
My
he's
hero.
my favorite. I was gonna say he's my favorite superhero. Yeah,
he's my favorite Avenger.
Yeah. And of course, Randy Orton, which right now it genuinely feels like at one point Roman versus Drew felt like the biggest match they can do. I think now that's Roman versus Orton. I think that's the biggest match they can do. And if they're going to be holding off for Orton versus Roman till SummerSlam, cool with me. If you do that at a big stadium, I think I'd be into that. With the current run that Orton's on.
The real story of Roman Reigns is he's systematically destroying OVW. He beat John Cena, he beat Brock Lesnar, now he's going for Randy Orton. He just needs Batista to come back.
I was going to say, he just needs Batista to come back, and then he'll have the whole set.
Yeah, he can beat Shelton Benjamin in like a main event SmackDown title match or something like that. Anyway, I got to say, there's a few quick points I want to make about this whole situation here. Number one, do you think we get a new set of belts here that will be half red and half blue and look like a popsicle?
No, I hope not.
Or because I think they're more likely just going to be obsessed with everybody walking around with two belts. I think that's kind of like the point of this. But they did the graphic where it came up as like, oh, the Raw and SmackDown Unified Tag Team Champions. It came up, it was half of each color. I was like, it looks like a popsicle. It's red and blue and like vaguely like white silver in the middle, you know. I was like, this looks like a rocket pop or something. My more important point is I think this story would have been exponentially more interesting had the Usos lost.
Yes,
you know,
I agree.
The Usos have been the SmackDown Tag Team Champions for like 300 and some days. It's basically been a year now. They've beaten every team, and realistically, since Jimmy Uso joined the Bloodline like on a more official manner last year, how is any member of this crew in any way different from where they were a year ago? Like, I know that we went through a Paul Heyman journey there, but as like a group of characters, how is the Bloodline in any way different than it was a year ago? And I don't think it is.
They now point upwards and they say, we are the ones.
Ah. I thought that was an Usos thing. I don't know. I just think that if the Usos had lost, that would have given you a chance to, like, you know, Roman is mad at his cousins, which has always been the most interesting part of this. When Roman is mad at his cousin, I don't care about this family just controlling wrestling. Like, I want to see some conflict here. And we haven't had conflict with Romans in a more traditional storyline since, aside from the Paul Heyman thing, in a very long time. And I would have liked the chance to see that this summer. This summer lead into SummerSlam with like a big Roman Reigns thing. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, there was a very slight hint of that in the opening promo, which went way too long, which we'll talk about in more detail in a little bit. But the end of that was Roman hugging the Usos. And as he did, he just stared down the hard cam and just gave a little smile like he's manipulating the Usos. And I was like, that's nice. That's good. That's good that Roman is doing that. It's weird because they haven't referenced any of that story at all. And his manipulation of them in this sense was, you should go and win. Which isn't really a manipulation. That's just him saying encouraging words.
That's just encouragement.
That's not manipulation at all.
You go out there today and you do your best.
Yeah.
I'm such a terrible person, guys. I can't believe I manipulated him today.
But everyone is saying that there's technical difficulties on this stream. So
we had that at the end of Quizlemania too, where it's like it wasn't bad for either of us, but it comes through on the stream. I think it's a YouTube thing, but I don't know that for sure.
We'll just say it's a YouTube thing. So hopefully, if it's lagging now and it's really bad to watch live, at least hopefully it will process correctly. Maybe.
Everybody hit the refresh button at once in 3, 2, 1. Problem solved.
Amazing. Now everyone's back and everything is okay.
Yeah.
Right?
My dog is like slowly making more and more noise sitting on my floor, and I'm like, I know that like at some point in the next half hour you are going to make me get up and open the door, And it hasn't happened yet, but
Mm-hmm.
she's slowly making more noise than she was 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't really have too much else to say on the main event thing. I am interested now that the tag titles have been unified. I think it is noteworthy. I think it would have been better if RK Bro won, but I'm okay with the Usos winning. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know where the next progression is going to be. Whether it is going to be Riddle and Orton going after Roman, or they're going to try and win the tag titles back, I don't know. But I think I'm interested because I like everyone involved.
I believe, from what I've heard in The Observer, the plan is Riddle at the next pay-per-view, then Orton, then Drew. So,
okay,
I guess Riddle for Hell in a Cell match?
Maybe or maybe Money in the Bank, because that's the one after, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know which ones Roman is missing or what. I don't know what the deal is, but I know Riddle and Orton are supposedly going to be his next challengers, which to me is still crazy because, like, I would have think you would have hit Orton like early in this run.
Yeah.
You know, because that's a big star, but they've had so little interaction with one another over the years. And I kind of like that, you know? I like that every time Randy Orton and Roman Reigns wrestle each other, it feels important because it doesn't happen often. You know, it's like SummerSlam 2014. I remember that like right off the top of my head because it's not like you ask me, when did Daniel Bryan face Dean Ambrose? I'd be like, SmackDown. I don't know. Doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah.
But this match, you know, it's pretty important. Big stars.
When did Kofi Kingston face Dolph Ziggler?
When didn't he wrestle Dolph Ziggler, Pete? Well, we got SummerSlam 2010, and then that SmackDown, and then Capital Punishment, I'm pretty sure. And you just go on and on and on.
Yeah. Also,
more than likely,
Raw and
they
SmackDown.
did wrestle. They did wrestle on a pay-per-view than not.
Yeah. I will also say one final point about this segment was the very end of the show. And this is a minor point, but I'm still going to bring it up anyway. The very last bit, they beat down RK Bro after the match as well. Roman and the Usos beat down. I thought the beatdown looked pretty cool. Jay did a big splash off the turnbuckle through the commentary table. They were beating him up with steel steps. Roman did a couple of guillotine chokes. It looked pretty cool, and they all held up their titles at the end. And then, Kevin Dunn, you need to calm your fingers down, son, because, oh my God, the amount of camera cuts they had at the end of the show, where it was literally like, Bloodline, Heyman, Orton, Riddle, crowd, Roman, Bloodline, Heyman, Orton, Riddle. I was like, stop it! Focus on one thing. That surely the visual you want to end on is everyone holding their titles up. And as soon as everyone got their titles up, they didn't even get them all the way up. They literally got them to about here, and it was like, we need to show the crowd. It's like, why? Focus on the visual you want. Weird. Yeah. Just stop it. Oh, man, it really annoyed me. Like, the camera work annoys me again, but it's like a base level annoyance. I'm like, it's a bit annoying. This one really annoyed me to end the show. I was like, stop it. Stop cutting. You don't need to do it this much. Anyway.
Yeah. It's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Bad camera work. Anyway, we should get into some of your Ultra Chats here. Make sure to get those into WrestleTalk.com/support. And we're going to read out all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. Valid Mama Deputy's been a member for 13 months in a row. Thank you so much. That says, Oos, bruh, you're making the kids cry. I will say, some of the shots they got of the crowd during the beatdown were quite good. Because there was a mum with like the fingers in her kid's ear. There was a kid that was really upset. There was like some dad who was like really like bummed out that RK Bro didn't win. I was like, those are good shots of the crowd. Just interspersed them like further out, not so quickly, but you know.
I always remember Hell in a Cell 2010 when Cena lost to the had to join the Nexus and all that. And there were a lot of people saying that match should have been like the main event because the main event was like a stupid Undertaker Kane like 1-star garbage match. And I always remember that show because like a sizable portion of the crowd left after the John Cena match because it was just parents taking their crying kids home.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I doled out hundreds of dollars to go to a WWE pay-per-view and I had to leave halfway through the show because my kid was crying that John Cena lost. Meanwhile, I would have been like, John Cena has to join the Nexus. Oh, my kid's crying. Crap. I guess I can't stay for this main event that I really want to see. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If I'm taking
Damn
you
it,
to a
kid,
WWE
stop being such a mark.
If I'm taking you to a pay-per-view, you're not crying and making me leave. We paid for this. You're going to sit down and watch this show.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Kevin Ultrachats in to say, raise your hand if WWE didn't ask you if Sasha and Naomi let you down. Don't you dare speak for me, Michael Cole, with your stupid soul patch. Obviously kidding, nothing against Cole's beard style. I mean, I'm making no comment on it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to say no offense. You can have all the offense you want.
Yeah, if you want to, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk more about the Sasha Naomi stuff when we get to it. But let's do a couple more here. Legit Underboss said, look at Luke acting like a real grown-up, so proud. I'm assuming this is from the show yesterday. Probably.
No, it's from that time Luke was on the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
Brian Moore says, welcome back, Tempest. I'm proud to announce to you guys that this June I officially started my pro wrestling training. Also, just a few weeks ago, I found out that Mike Myers isn't British. I'm sorry, Tempest. I need to give Canada their respect.
Brian! The hell's that, Brian? You don't know that the great Canadian legend Mike Myers is Canadian? He wore a Maple Leafs jersey in The Love Guru. That whole movie is about the Maple Leafs. And that's probably why we're still so bad. That movie was like an extra curse on top of our existing curses. Isn't like Kanye West in that movie too? Like Kanye West and Mike Myers.
I haven't seen it, I'll be honest.
Like, yeah, I watched it one time and it was terrible. Brian, what's up with that? Get on top of that, Brian.
Yeah, but also congratulations on the wrestling training. I hope it goes well.
Indeed. I hope nothing but the best for you.
We will get into more of your Ultra Chats later on. Keep getting those into WrestleTalk.com/support. Send those in at the link below. And we're going to read all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. The rest of SmackDown, it started off with, good God, so much filler. There's obviously the opening sting. There's the Usos Arcade Brew video package for later. Roman Reigns' entrance. The first word on this show was uttered at 7 minutes in. 7 minutes, Tempest. Oh, goodness me.
I've stopped keeping track. I just start the show like 10 minutes late and rewind by like 30 seconds and be like, okay, I didn't miss anything.
Yeah. This was a really long promo to get to nothing. This was Roman Reigns saying, acknowledge me. Paul Heyman did a long thing about why Roman is great and why the Usos are great and how they can live up to their greatness and the Island of Relevancy and the Bloodline and We the Ones. And there's just nothing, really. Yeah. Paul Heyman just said, like, hey, these guys need to win and they're going to win. And the Usos were like, hey, we're going to win. And Roman was like, acknowledge me. And that was the whole promo, but a long time to get there.
Yeah. You know how the people very often would conflate The Miz being a good talker with cutting good promos? These were a bunch of good talkers, but they didn't say anything, you know?
Yeah.
Nothing that they said here made me interested for what comes next, which is my problem with the majority of The Miz's promos, you know? Not to make this about The Miz, but like, you know what I mean? Like, they're all good talkers. They should be able to make me excited about something, but I got through the end of this and I'd be like, yeah, it's the obligatory opening SmackDown promo that I've heard a million times. They don't say anything new.
Yeah. Here's another thing we didn't mention about the tag title unification before, is that I don't understand everyone's character motivations at this point, because
they have them.
Why did Roman call off the tag title unification? Because then he also allowed, like last week, he allowed the Usos to make their own judgment as to whether they wanted to do the tag title unification match or not. The Usos spoke for themselves and accepted the match. And Roman was okay with that, I think. I think that's what he wanted them to do. And then this week, he was, totally on their side, just being like, hey, don't let me down. And then obviously he got involved again in the match, so he made them win anyway. So I'm like, who wants what? Because why did Roman call off the tag title unification if he wanted them to unify the tag titles? That doesn't make any sense. What does Roman want out of this? Because then he let the Usos do it. If he wanted to make the choice for himself, because he's the one that ripped up the contract and made sure that the match didn't go ahead of Backlash, if that's what he wants, then why did he then allow the Usos to speak for themselves to then make the tag title unification match again? What do they want? Why were the Usos okay with Roman ripping up the contract? Because I thought they wanted the tag title unification match. And okay, Bro wanted it, they're the ones that stayed consistent. Okay, Bro wanted it, then they got the contract ripped up, and then they wanted it again after Backlash. So that's okay. But everyone else, I don't know what anyone else wants. Who's challenging Roman for his titles?
Remember when Shinsuke Nakamura was lined up for all this? Oh, man.
Oh, goodness me.
I had a point to make in all that, and then I forgot what it was.
Sorry. I talked for too long.
It's fine. It's just, good Lord. Like,
yeah.
Let's do something here. Let's move on.
Wait for it. That's what it is. It's mind games.
It's all mind games. I remember what I was gonna say now. Because you know how the thing is that like WWE shows are all written like the day of and all that nonsense. You know, I've once heard that like George Lucas wrote the conveyor belt scene in Attack of the Clones while he was like on the way to the shoot. And that movie is also bad because you don't do that. Because when you're trying to figure out character motivations, you need to have these things planned out ahead of time. So when you have Roman Reigns tearing up a contract because he doesn't want this match to happen, 2 weeks after he says he wants them to win the titles, and then they go back to winning the titles 2 weeks later, I don't follow the story.
Who knows, man? After that, we got Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. Now, this appears really fun match. This appears to be the SmackDown formula now with the last few weeks, which is the first match that we have on the show. We're just going to let them have a proper match. We're going to give them time. They're going to have psychology. They're going to wrestle properly. Great. Do more of that. I'm all for that.
I endorse this wholly.
So this is really fun. And it's Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn, so you know they had a good match when they're allowed to. And I really liked that they called back to the match that they had a few weeks ago, with Sami winning that match by countout. We're doing the haluva kick and Shinsuke can get back in the ring. Because at this one, they go back and forth for ages and it's a bit of fun action in the ring. They're very good wrestlers. Sami hits Shinsuke with a Michinoku driver on the outside. And I was like, oh man, that's going to be the finish again. But it was in like an excited, like, oh man, that's the finish. Like that's actually pretty good to continue like that character trait for Sami Zayn. Nakamura just makes it back in for 9, and I was like, okay, that was a really good spot. That was really good, like callback to their previous match. That's a good spot. After that, Shinsuke comes back, hits Sami off the ring post, chucks him into the timekeeper's area, and the referee's counting, and I'm like, that's the finish. That's a really good spot because now Sami's getting a taste of his own medicine. Okay, this really, really works. And Sami was stumbling on his way back to the ring, and I was like, he's just not going to make it for 10. Oh, that's a solid little finish. Good callback to their previous match. And Sami just gets back in the ring at 9, and I was like, that's brilliant selling from Sami Zayn because I didn't think he was going to make it. Totally bought it as the finish. And immediately after he gets back in the ring, King Shasta from Shinsuke Nakamura, and he wins. And I was like, that was really good. That was a really fun match.
This is exactly what I want out of my SmackDown. Like, this was really, really enjoyable. And I've also once again learned not to bring up Attack of the Clones because that has kind of changed the direction of the conversation in the chat. So
in the live chat.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Ever.
Let's not talk about Star Wars.
It's too divisive, man.
It is.
Unlike
Let's
WWE.
Talk about yeah, it's really, really, really good match. I thought, Again, like I just want to see good wrestlers have good matches on this show. If you're not going to give me story, then at least give me good matches. In this case, they gave me a good match.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I said in my editor review, like I'm not 100% sure what story this was furthering, if it is really furthering a story, but it was a very fun match, so I can't really complain. So
yeah. If it's a boring match with nothing happening, then I'm like, okay, what did this advance? If it's just a fun match, then you can kind of get away with it. And that's why I keep getting blown away by this show, because you know how much we would forgive with like WWE storytelling if the matches were all just like this.
Right?
If it was 2 hours of a show that was like this, we probably wouldn't care that much that like, oh, Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura didn't advance a storyline. I don't think we would care that much if we just got matches that were this good all the time.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about a segment that was boring and didn't further anything and was a complete waste of time?
Which one are you talking about?
It's Happy Talk, Tempest.
Oh, it's Happy Talk.
Which
So
isn't
happy to
actually
talk
Happy
about
Talk because it's just a promo. It's not a talk show anymore. It's just Corbin talking, and that is now called Happy Talk.
We somehow backdoored our way into somehow needing to have a microphone in Baron Corbin's hand every single week. And I don't quite understand how we got here.
No.
You know? I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Me neither. But goodness me. Okay. So the spot last week of dropping the Under the Giant trophy onto the chair on Moss's neck was a good spot. I enjoyed it. I think it looked very good. We got a little recap of it here and be like, oh, he did the thing last week, and next we're going to have Happy Talk. And I was like, okay, cool, fine. I'm not fine with Happy Talk, but, you know, the recap's fine.
Yeah.
He comes out.
Fine.
Yeah. He comes out, starts doing a promo, throws to a recap of the segment from last week. I was like, we already saw this, but we watched it anyway. And then he says, I beat up Madcap Moss. I'm very cool, and he's stupid. I want to watch it again. So then we watched the recap again, and it replayed 3 times. Why? When you have something good, do you ruin it immediately, WWE? I now don't care about the spot. My God. This is just like the perfect example of WWE taking something organically very good and immediately running it into the ground.
Boy, this sure sounds familiar, doesn't it? I think you may have said, like, word for word exactly that when Cesaro did the UFO spin at WrestleMania last year.
God, yes.
And they showed it like 30 times on television that week. I swear someone could go back and look, because I think you could have said those exact same words about WWE taking something organically cool and running it down in the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
Also goes to show how much this company doesn't change.
Yeah, we are in a time loop. It was another very long promo to say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This was Corbin saying, I am Corbin, he is Moss, I beat him up. That's the whole promo!
I would love so much more if that was the promo.
I would
just
as well.
Came out and said, I am Corbin, he is Moss. That might be the best promo that Baron Corbin's ever cut.
Yeah.
You know?
That'd be really good.
Oh.
God. What a waste of time.
I'll be honest.
He destroyed the trophy.
Yeah. Not the Andre the Giant Mustard Trophy.
Oh my God.
Oh,
and
no.
Michael Cole on commentary goes, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royals kickstarted so many careers here in WWE. I'm like who? Cole? Give me an example.
Yeah.
Like the closest example is Baron fucking Corbin. That's the closest we came.
Yeah.
But they don't mention the fact that he won it. Why aren't they mentioning that? That could be part of the story.
I mean, okay. Hang on a tick. I'm trying to work this out. This is Cesaro, Big Show, then Corbin, then Mojo, then Matt, then Corbin and Moss are the only ones that are still employed other than Jey Uso to have won this trophy.
That's it. There's 3 people.
Oh no. What can you even say about this trophy anymore? I mean, to be fair, the only career that they could even lie about saying that it launched is Baron Corbin, and he's still one of the ones that's there. So say that.
Make it part of the story. Surely you've got to. His name is on the trophy that he destroyed. Like, surely there's something there, anything there. Oh my god. We have spent way too much time on this. Who cares? It's Corbin. We got a recap of Gulak and Ricochet. Drew Gulak got to face Walter again. There was another quick squash match. This was less fun than the match that they had before. I feel like the last one had more fun Walter offense. It was just like, I'm going to hit you with a powerbomb, and that was about it. Like, he did a few chops, but they weren't as good as normal. Something was a little bit missing. I don't know. But then Walter locked in a Boston Crab afterwards. Ricochet came down, and it looks like we're going to be getting a Walter Ricochet program, which I'm all for. If Walter wins the IC title, I think that's good. It keeps him with a belt without having to challenge Roman. You know, it's not like he's missing something. It's fine. I mean, the IC title means dick all, but, you know, it's something.
Yeah, but I feel like Walter is the type of wrestler that would be devalued by holding the Intercontinental Championship.
That's fair.
To me, watching right now, I know that they've got their plans and everything, and it's not going to go this way. But if I was booking this, I would just have Walter do this same thing until SummerSlam, where he would just challenge for the title. You know, like Brock Lesnar didn't win the Intercontinental Championship en route to facing The Rock. You know what I mean? Then I still get that same sort of view here, where it's like he's a main event guy, and I don't necessarily right now want to see the main event guy holding a mid-card championship. Now, of course, their answer to that is just going to be make him not a main event guy, and he'll be Intercontinental Champion, and he'll probably lose quite a bit. Maybe he won't lose. Maybe he'll only lose when he loses the title. But typically, being linked to a mid-card championship is not a very good thing a lot of the time, these days anyway. It's not like it used to be. But that being said, I will give them props because I love the presentation of Walter, with the exception of I would have preferred Walter, the black coat and the whole of the Walter thing. But the way that they're doing it, it's, I believe, a lateral change for the most part. I prefer the name Walter to Gunther, but that is, it doesn't matter. It's a wash at this point. I think Ludwig Kaiser is doing a fantastic job. Is doing a little personal ring announcer deal. I think that's really good. I like the package of Walter and Gunther and whatever this is. I just hope I will let this one play out and hope that it doesn't burn me. But again, I've been here before. I know how this goes.
I have got minimal gripes with the presentation of Gunther. My thing is, you had Walter.
Yeah.
Like, the changes aren't necessarily bad, but it's just like, but why did you do that? It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like,
also,
even if it's the copyright thing of the name, sure. But like changing the music, changing the black coat to the red, with Ludwig Kaiser doing the intro. Also, his name is now Ludwig Kaiser. Like, it's just like a lot of like little changes. Like, but you didn't need to do all that because you had Walter right there. That's my thing.
And also, quickly from Hector Rodriguez, asking if anyone's been the WWE and Intercontinental Champion at the same time. The Ultimate Warrior did that at WrestleMania 6 and promptly vacated the Intercontinental Championship. The more you know.
And Seth Rollins held the WWE and US at the same time?
Yes. He's been double champion a lot. He'll hold the tag belt with his rival a bunch, I've noticed.
Anyway, after that, LA Knight made his SmackDown debut, except he's not called LA Knight anymore. He is Max Dupree.
Okay.
He's got a group.
Yeah. Oh, go on.
He's got a group called Maximum Male Models.
Yeah. And
Sonya Deville hired him because Adam Pearce didn't know who he was. And he said, well, the Sonya Deville hired me, so you better check that contract again. And then he says, my name is Max Dupree. And Adam Pearce goes, okay, Max Dupree. And he goes, no, Max Dupree. And he goes, Max Dupree. He goes, no, Max Dupree.
They're
Adam
doing the
Pearce
Fandango
goes,
thing again.
Max Dupree. And he goes, you're so close, and then walks off. Pat McAfee then goes, Max Dupree! And I was like, I can already tell I'm going to hate this instantly.
Yep. It's the Fandango thing again, where everybody hated Fandango because of his stupid vignettes and his stupid, it's fun, John. He did that for like weeks before his match with Jericho at WrestleMania, and everyone hated it. So maybe you chuck that in the bad idea bin.
Not everyone, Tempest.
Oh, not did you enjoy the Fandango bit?
I was a
Luke
Fandango
or somebody?
mark.
Oh, you're a Fandango.
This was like peak WWE fandom for me as well. So anything they did, I was like, great.
See, my thing with this is I feel like Eli Drake, LA Knight, and Max Dupree are all pretty much the same quality of names. Relatively, maybe you go a tick up or a tick down in either direction. But what is the point of developmental if not to develop the character that is to be used on the main roster? And that is a whole thing that I don't want to go into. That I don't care which of those three names he uses. Stop freaking changing it. You can change it from the outside of WWE to when he signed with WWE. I will allow for one name change, but once they've been on WWE programming with a name, don't change the name without a full repackage. No, and I guess this is a full repackage, to be fair, because I mean, LA Knight wasn't a friggin' an agent for a male stripper company or whatever this is.
Maximum Male Models, Tempest.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's an agent for a male porn star agency.
Exactly, yes.
God damn.
Apologies if you can hear any like loud music, by the way, if my mic's picking that up. Because there's some loud music playing directly underneath us.
I can't hear anything. Oh god. The crowd.
There's some thumping bass underneath it. It's shaking the floor.
I think you're good.
Anyway, after that, RK Bro do a backstage promo. We got a recap of Raquel Rodriguez from last week. Shotzi and Aaliyah and Gorilla argue over it. Shotzi's promo was awful, not because of Shotzi, but because of the material she had to say, because humans don't talk like that.
Yeah.
You're an absurd Amazon. Who says that? Ridiculous.
I don't know. If someone pitched me those two words next to each other on a script, I'd fire them.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm sorry. You're doing a bad job. You're fired.
Yeah.
That's it.
I enjoyed Raquel entered. Shotzi then entered with a helmet on. She did not have a helmet on her promo. And then as soon as she entered, she took the helmet off. Nice. Well done, Shotzi. Get your stuff in.
Remember when she had a tank and it was really cool? She's just a person. Oh.
With a helmet, apparently.
With a helmet.
Raquel won quickly. That was a match. It was fine.
Yeah.
Couple fallaway slams. Best match ever, right?
Yeah. I love fallaway slams. I did see it. I was like walking out the door to like go get a glass of water, and I saw her pick Shotzi up like that, and I was like halfway out the door, and I went, looked at the TV. She had a fallaway slam. I went, yeah, and walked.
Love it. After that, Woods then did a promo. We got a recap of Kofi and Butch from last week. Kofi was on official New Day business, so Woods was by himself. Couldn't you just say he was injured from last week or something? Like anything to say.
He was ill. It was his son's birthday.
Yeah,
it's his anniversary.
Yeah, anything at all. But God. We then got Woods versus Butch, and we have a name for Sheamus's faction.
Yeah, we do.
If you thought it's Fight Night, you're wrong. It's the Brawling Brutes.
I mean, I didn't think Fight Night was like a all-time name.
No.
It's better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
They really played up in this one. Woods called out Butch to be like one-on-one, no shenanigans with Sheamus and Ridge Holland. This is it. That's all we're gonna do for this week. Just me and you, one-on-one. Butch comes out. Accompanied to the ring by Sheamus and Ridge Holland, the ring announcer said. He's not. That's the point.
I was a little bit worried because I'll be honest, y'all, I did not watch any SmackDown while I was off. This is my first SmackDown in like 3 weeks, and I was like, I can't even say the fake hypothetical thought out loud because there's no way that I was going to be lost coming into this show.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, all the same feuds that were happening a month ago are still happening. Same feuds that were happening 4 months ago are still happening. Why are the New Day and these friggin' Brits all still fighting each other? Are they stretching this out until Big E can come back? Because you'll be waiting a while. You will be waiting a while. And I don't know what the point of this feud is otherwise. Like, just have someone beat Ridge Holland and we can move on. But
it's so weird.
It's the same thing we say about every feud. Like, I look at, like, every so often I'll see someone post a picture and be like, oh, SmackDown in, like, the beginning of the summer last year was so great. And they'll show a picture of, like, Bianca Belair facing Carmella or something. And I'll be like, this match happened on, like, 6 straight shows. Like, you could take one of them out of context and be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was all right. But you forget that that one is surrounded by, like, 6 duplicates of itself.
Mm-hmm. This is a point that I think Ollie and Luke have made, saying that it's long-term storytelling. There's a difference between long-term storytelling and telling the same story over a long time. And that's what this is.
That's what the Sonya Deville Naomi thing was.
Exactly.
We're at square one. I again saw someone was like, listen, I know we all think that the Sonya Naomi thing was great. I was like, we do? Who is this?
Who says that?
This? Who?
Oh god.
SmackDown does things.
Anyway, there's a 6-man tag next week. Woods won with the backwoods. I'm still not on board with it. Sorry, Woods. Butch walked away, but then he didn't walk away, and then he attacked him, and whatever. Woods was backstage saying there's a 6-man tag for next week, and the third man for their team is going to be someone who they're not going to like. It's not going to be Big E. He's definitely going to be still out. You'd think, right?
You notice how every time AEW has like a surprise, it's like, oh, cool. Every time WWE's like, oh, it's a mystery partner. I'm like, I don't care. It's going to be disappointing, And that is a very pessimistic way to look at things, and I don't like that. But this is just kind of like, how many times is a surprise?
That's the track record, right?
Yeah, I remember when Jericho showed up at like Night of Champions 2015 to be the third member of the Shield for a night. Everyone was like, wow, that's surprising because no one actually saw it coming. We don't get those surprises anymore. It's always just like, it's going to be like, I don't know, Reggie. I don't know. I saw him on main event and I was like, you're still here. Main event plays after SmackDown. And it was like the first match that came up, it was Reggie and Tommaso Ciampa. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Main event 2022.
I would love it if it was Breeze. Considering that they just announced that Breeze is coming back up, down. Yeah. Like maybe he's coming back. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like that. Honestly,
be cool.
Honestly. And again, you can't do this now because Cesaro's gone and Adam Cole's gone, but you really could have just like they're never gonna break up the New Day, but like if they were all still around, you could do a party faction and just have it be a bunch of like fun, charismatic individuals. Anyway, we gotta move on. We gotta finish the SmackDown, talk about Rampage.
We sure do. The last thing we got to talk about, I'm sure we can talk about this bit quickly, is Michael Cole addressing with the Banks and Naomi stuff before the main event. So he then recapped and said, on Monday Night Raw, it was supposed to be a 6-pack challenge, but then things changed. Direct quote from Michael Cole here said, Sasha and Naomi took the tag championships into the office of our head of talent relations, left them there, and then promptly walked out of the arena. Their actions disappointed millions of WWE fans and their fellow superstars. So because of what Sasha and Naomi did this past Monday night, they have been suspended indefinitely, and we will have a future tournament to crown the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
If they had just said, due to what happened on Monday night, Sasha Banks and Naomi have been stripped of the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. WWE will be announcing our plans for the titles moving forward. We are disappointed with the situation. If they had just said that, I'd be like, you know what? Fine.
Yeah.
But they know what they're doing.
Yeah, of course
They know what they're doing. They're baby facing themselves. And I'm sorry, but when you have literally spent a full decade telling the fans that the company is the heel, I give you no sympathy. Absolutely not. Like, I don't understand this situation, and I don't want to get too into it just because you'll get crazies coming out of the woodworks, but God, this situation is gross, and I hate it. I hate every bit of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God. They got pissed at us for being awful. How dare they?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen a lot of the clip going around from like the Stone Cold podcast a year or two ago where she was like, they want you to smile and be happy to be there. And I'd be like, the balls of these people. Like, it's some privilege to work there. God damn, that pisses me off. You know?
Yeah.
There's so many layers to this that this would be a full podcast discussion. In fact, it has been. WrestleTalk Podcast, check it out.
Yesterday's
God,
video.
if I needed another reason to hate WWE, they're giving me plenty with their handling of this whole situation.
Absolutely. The thing is, like, I'm not, 100% on Banks and Naomi's side. Like, I think there's other ways that they could have handled it. I totally understand that, but I am definitely not on WWE's side at all with this. Their handling of the situation has been absolutely atrocious. And while Banks and Naomi could have done something better, at this point, I'm like, I don't care what they do, because they're always going to be better than what WWE's doing.
Right. That's always the thing. When it comes to something like this, I'm like, well, I don't necessarily like agree with the idea of walking out on one's contract, but I also don't agree with WWE's policy that they can fire you whenever you want, but you can't quit.
Yeah.
You know, so when you have that policy, I also don't care as much.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, right? And when you've spent the last 2 years firing people at an unreal clip and someone decides, hey, I don't want to work here anymore, I don't really care that you want to hold them hostage, you know, hold their career hostage anyway.
Anyway,
I agree, Chelsea. Chelsea agrees with me. She's on the side of Sasha Banks and Naomi. She's a good dog.
Good. Should we talk about Rampage real quick?
I suppose so.
Because
it's not much to talk about on this Rampage.
There's really not that much. We'll have to wrap up the show relatively quickly anyways, because we've got other stuff to do in this studio afterwards, so I'm going to be taking up time if we don't do this quickly. It was a trios match of House of Black versus the Evil Uno and Press 10 versus Fuego. It was fun. House of Black are cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're doing something of substance at Double or Nothing. That's nice. About time. It's all right.
All right. I've got
nothing else, man.
I've got a few thoughts on stuff like this. I have found recently that it's getting hard for heel factions in AEW to have like faction matches. You know, because unless the only way that I think you can do these heel faction matches is if you put them with baby faces that are also over, you know, where when they did their Halloween faction match last year with the Elite and the Dark Order, you had the Dark Order on the other side who were at that time championing Hangman Page and were a big deal. And then similarly, you had the Elite against like Christian and Bryan Danielson and Jurassic Express, big stars equal to that of the Elite. But then a few weeks ago, you had the Elite against like Dante Martin, Lee Johnson, Brock Anderson, and I forget who else, but it was a 5-on-5 team. And that one didn't go so well because the people want to cheer for the stars, and the stars are the heels. And I still kind of felt that way in this match, where it wasn't as bad because this match was like really fun and flowed really well because they all have really unique offense that flows into each other very well. But the House of Black were the stars of this match. And when the faction match doesn't go like 5 minutes, it can be kind of hard on the crowd to just stay into it when you know the people you're supposed to cheer for are not going to win and are probably not going to make it close either. You know, like you can get into something if it's going to be a close match. But like, I don't know. Fuego's not going to beat Malachi Black. Never. Never, not once will Fuego, and of course, clip this out when Fuego eventually beats Malachi Black. But Fuego del Sol is not going to be beating Malachi Black, at least in the foreseeable future. You know? So it was like, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. It was like a fun opener, but I've seen more enjoyable, more fun, more heated openers. Like, the House of Black just isn't on TV enough right now, you know? I want a trios match like once a week for a while, and then I feel like it'll be a big deal. Now it just kind of feels like every once in a while we need a show for Rampage, so we'll throw a House of Black and Fuego match on there. And that to me is just a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. We had the Acclaimed and Gunn Club backstage, and I have one question for this Tempest. Why do I like this so much? I shouldn't enjoy this, but I really do like it.
Yeah,
it's funny.
They've done something to this that has made it work, you know?
I don't know what it is, but I laughed. Yeah. I laughed quite a bit at this segment. Like, you know, when they showed the Anthony Bowens got injured, they showed the footage of it, and Max Caster was there, and Billy Gunn was like, pushed his own son out of the way to be like, hey, son, you're going to be okay. And when he comes back, we're going to have a big scissor party and all that stuff. And I was like, that's funny. Like, that's good. Yeah.
See, like,
I don't know why it's good, but it is good.
There's never been any sort of, like, the only thing the Ass Boys have ever had going for them is that they don't like to be called the Ass Boys. There was nothing else to their character. Now, there's some character here. Now, Billy Gunn is choosing the other one over his kids, and now there's... It's
interpersonal conflict, Tempest. That's what we were talking about.
I know. I love it. I've never been the biggest
Max called him Daddy. But that was funny.
We'll see how this goes. I will let this play out.
Yeah. FTR accepted the challenge from Roppongi Vice for the Ring of Honor tag titles. Cool. Yeah. Shawn Spears faced a giant next, who turned out to be Big Damo.
Big Damo.
Board Game Club's own Big Damo. Hell yeah, man. Very cool to see him on TV. I was very excited for that. He beat him pretty quick. Damo got in some offense, but Spears beat him pretty handily. And then he cut a promo. I understand why that happened. One, it's Rampage, so they don't have much time. And two, because obviously Damo has nothing to do with AEW. He's not in a story. Spears has the story going against Wardlow. It makes perfect sense why they did what they did. Just a shame for Damo because I really like him personally.
Right. Like I said in the edited review, I was like, I understand the circumstances that are at play here. Like, Shawn Spears is a contracted talent. He's the one in the storyline. He's the one who's going to be facing Wardlow in like 4 days. But if in my universe, I simply wouldn't have Shawn Spears beat Big Damo. Personally, I think that Big Damo, if I'm picking one of those two guys to be a star, I'm picking Big Damo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just me.
Yeah,
that's just me.
We had Undisputed Elite promo. Cole hyping the fact that it might be him versus Kyle O'Reilly, and the two of them being like, hey, we're best buds, we're going to have a great match if we fight each other, and the Bucks challenge the Hardys, which got confirmed as well. Fun. And then we had Red Velvet versus Chris Statlander, which was fun enough. This was a decent little match. Really liked the spot where Statlander had her up, and then took one hand away and was just flexing while holding Red Velvet up. Obviously, Velvet was helping herself up, but that's not the point. It looked cool. This was good. Statlander got the roll-up win in the end after some back and forth and stuff. It was good, solid action, fun match. Good.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered it. Like, it was a good, solid, fun match. I think this has been, like, the least promoted quarterfinal match of this women's tournament, which is understandable because, like, the original contestant isn't in it and the whole deal. Like, you can tell that they were going a different direction for this side of the bracket anyway. A Hikaru Shida Ruby Soho match probably end up being the semifinal here. So getting Chris Statlander, I still really like Chris Statlander, and I think that she's gonna probably hold a title before the end of the year. And I like that this little mini feud between Red Velvet and Chris Statlander was able to get their next chapter. You know, for a while it seemed like they were just going to go their separate ways without any sort of real explanation involved. But now we're getting more stuff, and I like that. I like that we've kind of brought it back around, although at the same time, there is still a part of me that wishes that this was Willow in this spot. Like when we were talking about the qualifiers and we were like, I think a first round exit would do more for Willow than it would for Red Velvet.
Absolutely.
Now, having seen it, I still kind of feel like that would be the case. Like if she and Chris Statlander just went out and had like a 12, 15-minute match and was just fantastic and she lost, I think that would probably do more for her. But I also understand that they're trying to build to a bunch of different stories all at the same time, and this just works nicer. So no harm, no foul there. And I thought this was a very good match.
Speaking of building to a bunch of matches at the same time, Ruby Soho then, who was on commentary, came down for the save afterwards because Jade Cargill and the baddie started beating up Chris Statlander. She came down with the save because she's facing Chris Statlander in the semis. So then she got beaten down. And then Anna Jay came out. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anna Jay hasn't been interacting with Jade Cargill, at all?
Not at all. They had their one match on Rampage that was actually very good.
Recently.
But since then, I don't believe so. But that wasn't like that long ago, though, is the thing.
No, it was a few months.
Yeah, that was like maybe February.
Because it was Conti versus Cargill at Revolution, right?
Yeah.
So it was probably around that time.
Yeah, I think it was just before that. It could have been right after, but I think it was before that.
Yeah. So Soho got beaten up by Jade Cargill. Anna Jay then came out and saved her. Jade Cargill then later challenged Anna Jay, and that got then confirmed for Double or Nothing. So Anna Jay versus Jade Cargill, which is fine, which is good on paper. Just want them to build it a little bit. We haven't seen either of these two interact at all since then, so it'd be good. But
yeah, I feel like that's just kind of the way of like the TV titles.
Yeah.
I feel like, because Miro and Lance Archer last year were kind of like thrown together for Double Nothing. And I feel like just a lot of the time, the TNT and TBS championship matches will just kind of be like the last match on a pay-per-view because they're kind of supposed to be like the open challenge type titles, So it doesn't bother me as much that this one doesn't have as much build as it would for some of the other matches. But in general, I would like to see more, at least shoot the angle like more than a week before the pay-per-view.
Exactly.
If you do this like a week or so earlier, I don't think it's as bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. We then got a Hookhausen and Neeson Sterling training montage. That's fine.
I like this. I like that Danhausen was doing the SpongeBob lifting weights thing. That
bit was funny. Men of the Year did a promo, and Sammy Guevara had the TNT title, which he stole from last week. And he said, give me a match or we'll break the title. Dan Lambert said, no, you're not getting a match. So then he smashed up the title. And then Kazarian came in and was like, hey, I'm also going to break the title. And then he smashed up the title as well. I don't know what's going on in the TNT title picture, man. I don't get any of this. I don't think this is very good.
Pete, they have another belt, Pete. They have a second belt. It was on TV like 2 weeks ago. Why are they upset? Oh, I'm sick of it.
Oh God.
I was not super down with like Sammy Guevara's title run the first time around.
Yeah.
But there was like the Cody stuff that was mixed in, and once they did like the ladder match, I was like, okay, that ladder match was goddamn fantastic. Let's just reset at that point. I'll be like, okay, that's a great part to be like, you were the new champion, all that interim stuff's done away with. Let's move on to better things. I have no idea what they're doing anymore with this title. And again, once Scorpio won the title in the ladder match, I was like, okay, now perfect reset button. They did the double turn type thing. He's a babyface now. He just had a fantastic ladder match, and he could go have a great babyface run, and they turned him heel, and I was like, all right, now you've lost me. I don't care anymore. Strike 3, you're out. Fix it. What? What are we doing here at this point? Who am I supposed to cheer for in this little three-way feud? Is it Kazarian? Because now he's hanging out with Sammy Guevara, and I don't like him. I don't know what I'm supposed to cheer for.
He's hanging out with Sammy Guevara and breaking the TNT title. That's not a babyface thing to do. Ugh.
I just... So much of AEW's booking is so concise at times. This has felt like the complete opposite. And there's so many people on the roster now that I would rather see the TNT title on than the people involved in this story. And that's really disappointing for a number of reasons, because I wanted to give Scorpio Sky his due and give him his run. But I think it's safe to say he's probably been like the worst TNT champion, like at least on paper. He has defended the title against anybody, so unless he quickly turns that around, I need this title to be put on like Andrade or Pac or Swerve or Keith Lee or Hook or Ricky Starks or Powerhouse Hobbs or anyone that I'd rather see than Men of the Year.
Yeah.
My last point on this matter, and we can move on, is that to me, these titles are like free, get on TV at least once a week cards. If you're the TNT champion, you have your avenue to get on TV every single week.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather someone else be in possession of the TNT title free spot on TV card than the Men of the Year.
Yeah. Tony Storm and Britt Baker had a quick promo. It was fine. It was good. I thought
match.
Tony Storm's, I'm going to rearrange your teeth and become your DMD, and Britt Baker didn't have a response and walked off. And then Excalibur ran down all the matches. Oh my God. I think they really need to rein this in, because God, if you want to promote like a few matches for next week, I'm on board. That's totally cool. If you want to be like, hey, you should really tune into Rampage because we've got this really big match and this really big match happening. Fine. Even if you want to say you should tune into Dynamite next week, we've got this big match, and this big match. And on Rampage next week, we've got this big match, and this big match. Fine. You cannot run down Dynamite, every match on Dynamite, every match on Rampage, and every match on Double or Nothing in the space of 30 seconds. That is slow down. Oh my God.
I think you can.
No, just slow down, because this is just too much. He announced, I counted them, Tempest. He ran through 11 matches. And then there was the Jade Cargill promo, and then he ran through 6 more matches straight after a very quick Jade Cargill promo. This is a problem I have. I feel like this exemplifies an actual problem I have with Rampage, is that everything feels rushed. Everything feels so to the second on Rampage. Obviously, it's edited, and you can tell with some stuff cutting around as well. You have in the Big Damo Shawn Spears stuff. Shawn Spears won. They immediately cut to a replay. They immediately cut back, and Shawn Spears is cutting a promo. Obviously, they cut some time out in there. Right. And everything just feels right, next bit for the hour. It's just take some stuff out of the show and let everything breathe a little bit. And I feel like this is an example of that. Talk about your 3-4 biggest matches that you want to promote rather than everything, and just let stuff breathe, and let Excalibur literally breathe, because God, how does he do that?
I don't know. I kind of think they should lean into this. I think they should give it a name, like the Excalibur Speed Round or something like that.
That might help it get over.
I think if you do this 1 or 2 more times, it will get over. I don't know how that works exactly, because there aren't people in the building that will pop for this because they can't hear it.
No, exactly.
But it'll get over with me.
I don't know.
And honestly,
anyway,
right now, I just want to be entertained, and it entertains me.
I spent too much time on that, and we really need to wrap up the show because we're already over time. We had the main event of Dante Martin and Matt Sydal versus Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. It was fun. I'm unsurprised. Wrestlers involved. This was fun. Blackpool Combat Club are still amazing. William Regal was on commentary. Massive thumbs up. Love William Regal. He's my favorite. And obviously Jericho was on commentary, so you had that beef between Blackpool Combat Club and Jericho Appreciation Society as well. All thumbs up from me. There was the brawl at the end with Danielson getting his leg caught in the ramp, which is definitely a work. 100%. I watched the clip that they put up on their YouTube channel. Danielson gets his leg caught and then pulls the referee in to be like, I'm fine. Tell Hager to start stomping on my leg. And then Hager goes over and the referee points towards Danielson's leg. And then Hager stops stomping on his leg. It's a work. Danielson's just a genius. Danielson legitimately got his leg caught and then was like, I'm going to use this. Because he's very smart, you see. But this was very fun. Good way to end the show. Big brawl. Fun. Good main event.
Yeah, it's about everything that you would want out of a main event like this. Again, it wasn't going to be the one that steals the show and steals the week and is match of the year or anything like that, but you're not going to have a bad match with these four guys. Now, that in mind, I did think that this was one of those matches that suffers from being, on a taped Rampage that has a tired crowd and has seen 4.5 hours of wrestling. And man, like, it was a little disappointing because there were a few moments here that really didn't get the reaction that they normally do, like the rapid fire elbow spots that they typically do as a full Blackpool Combat Club thing to lead into the finish. Just didn't get over this time. And I was like, well, that's it. It was just sad. Like, they were elbowing people and it was just kind of quiet. It led to a flat finish, but I will give props to this match because Dante, when he reached the bottom rope with his legs and he managed to break that lapel lock, that was like a real Ricky Morton sell, get the people behind you with a big pop, and he breaks out of the finishing submission. That was like a great babyface sell that takes him from being like a good babyface to a great babyface. And that really works when it's a guy like Dante Martin who's young and has like that really like, a boyish face. Like, can you have a boyish face if you're just young? If you're just really young,
You are just a boy.
Yeah. But he's really good at that, sympathetic sell. And I just like seeing matches like this because you get to see the improvement happening in real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Overall, Rampage was missable this time.
Yeah. Solidly
which
missable.
Is a shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because normally you have at least like 1 or 2 matches where you're like, it's missable, but you should go and check out these matches because they're really, really good. Whereas this time it's like, there are some fine matches, but like, if you miss it,
yeah,
you'll be fine.
A lot of the time I would say like, you won't feel bad if you go out of your way to watch this show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say the show is a waste of time because that feels more negative, but
yeah,
as far as Rampages go, it was kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
With the exception of like the tournament, with the exception of the tournament match, nothing on this show mattered. And that was disappointing. But.
Yeah. Well, on that note, let's get into, we need to say thank you to some very special people before we do the rest of your Ultrachats here. And those are our $25 and above Pledgehammers on our Patreon page. If you've not been to our Patreon page yet, you really should. Also, now's a really good time to head over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Not literally right this minute, but maybe later today. Maybe there'll be something there that's different to normal. Maybe. Because there's a series that's starting today on partsFUNknown. Who knows if that's got anything to do with it? But also, if you pledge at the $25 or above tier, you get your own custom wrestling nickname, and it gets read out on a show, much like this one. So thank you to Will. I paid Adam to drink garlic and herb dip on the live stream. Stuart. It's the years.
Murderous James Murtaugh.
Yeah. The Findicator, Finn Brennan.
Yeah. He ran Aaron Hanrahan. That's a new one.
Yeah. Ross Pooper Scooper Cooper.
Yeah. WrestleTalk's personal problem solver, Jamie Donovan. Yeah.
He's got 2 first names, Matt Howard.
Yeah. The Baker, Adam Cakebread.
Yeah. The man with the scoops, Shawn.
Yeah. The Cyclone, Brandon Sires.
Yeah. What's love got to do with it? Matthew Turner.
Tower of London, Nigel Morris.
Yeah. Thank you so much, all of our pledge hammers over on our Patreon page. And patreon.com/WrestleTalk is really, really good. There's some stuff later. New content later. Spoilers. Anyway, let's get into the rest of your Ultra Chats here. Last chance to get those in at WrestleTalk.com/support. Going to read out all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air, which is very, very soon. Legit Underboss says, welcome back, Lord Tempest. I kind of wanted the Usos to lose so that when they apologize to Roman, he can tell them to forget about it, cuz.
Well done. Well done.
Very, very good. Like that. Legit Underboss again said, the fact that Sasha and Naomi have been removed from WWE's shop and the Velveteen Dream stuff is still up shows how petty they are.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that second part. I knew they'd been removed from
No.
WWE shop, but like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Oof. Crikey.
This company.
Yeah. Miguel Ortiz has been a member for 2 months in a row. Thank you so much. So there's 2 months. Side notes, when it comes to the shoddy camera work of WWE, blame Kevin's buck teeth. Always his buck teeth. Disagree.
I don't think his
terrible
teeth
cameraman.
make him worse. Yeah.
No. He's
I
just a
don't think it
terrible
makes him-
cameraman.
Yeah.
Graham Shaw said, Sami destroying the TNT title might have gone in the most heat for me, with me, anything in AEW ever has. And he's the babyface. Dark Order need to beat his ass for disrespecting the title synonymous with Brody, and Miro needs to redeem that championship.
God, I really do need Miro on this show ASAP. You know, I will say, like, and this is coming from someone who has a TNT title, Brody Lee inspired tattoo. I think people need to chill with the you can't do anything to this belt. It's a Brody Lee tribute belt thing.
Yeah.
It's like they retired the Brody Lee tribute belt. They gave that to his kid.
-1.
Yeah, they very specifically got a new belt for the purposes of having it not be a Brody Lee tribute belt.
Exactly.
I've seen a lot of people talking about how they're spitting on his grave and disrespecting his legacy. And I was like, y'all need to chill a little bit with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dartrain24 says, smack your ass and call you Judy. Here's an idea. Since you and Tempest are a team and you and Denise are called Team Penice, we could have a championship #1 contenders match and a Judy Peanut Chopper on a forklift match. Happy birthday, Peanut. It's not my birthday.
Yeah.
But thank you.
But when you raise Judy Peanut Chopper on the forklift, you can say peanuts on the up.
Peanuts on the up.
Got it.
There it is, Tempest. That's the joke of the day. All right. I think that is going to do it for this episode of the WrestleTalk Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I need to go very, very quickly because I'm holding up people from recording other things. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming out and watching the show. Really do appreciate it. We'll be back with more content soon. If you've not yet, check out some of our other videos. If you're interested in the Sasha Banks and Naomi stuff, Luke and Angela from Hobby Night did a chat about that yesterday on the WrestleTalk Podcast. So go and check that out. And if you've obviously not, subscribe and like the video as well. We'll be back with more content soon. It's Double or Nothing next week, so we'll be having live reactions for that. Live reactions for Hell in a Cell the week after. The content never stops. Thank you so much for watching. We love you very much. Jam that jam. LAW for life, etc. Goodbye.